Bit of a wild one late, but that is exactly what we love to see. File this under things you love to see as the Blues triumph over the Minnesota Wild 3-1 on this Sunday night. The Blues break a 10-game road losing streak in this 2025-26 campaign, their first win since December 20th against the Florida Panthers. And welcome on in to Blues Central Postgame. I'm Luke Slabaugh. He's Hunter Mulholland. We're presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. And Hunter, plenty of things to talk about. The return of Robert Thomas being perfect in the faceoff circle. Pavel Buchnevich with his 23rd career game-winning goal, dangling one late against the Wild. Joel Hofer with 22 saves on 23 shots and a really strong 5-on-5 presence by the Blues. But your main takeaways as we jump into this 3-1 win tonight.
My main takeaways are this looks like a different team than what we saw last night. I mean, last night me and Jacob got on here, and it's just like this team was giving nothing to talk about. There were no bright spots to last night's game. Tonight, a lot. The return of Robert Thomas brings out 2 points. Obviously, one being an empty net goal, but I mean, you'll take it where you can get it, right? And it's a season where a lot of guys, I see it in the chat, screwing up the draft position, looking for that number one pick. Take your wins, man. I as a fan, I can't get more happy than a win in any scenario except for maybe, a championship win. But uh it is very important to like see that progression from the young guys, see the progression from Snuggerud and Dvorsky. And I think you saw that tonight in the way that they played and the way that the group played together versus on many occasions this season, they look like they are playing as individuals instead of as a line throughout the course of a 60-minute game.
I'm going to be honest, before we get into the chat comments, before we talk about the analysis, this show is never rooting for the Blues to lose. Like, I just want to get that off the table. And I mentioned it to Ethan. For the rest of this season, we got 22 more of these slogs to go. I'm passionate about this. You're not going to make the postseason, more than likely. However, make it interesting. Show me something that I've never seen before. Make me proud to be a St. Louisan. Make me go to Enterprise Center, not just for the Wayne Gretzky bobblehead. That's where we're at. Like, yes, you want a God, what's his name? The Penn State guy who broke a dude's jaw because he talked about his mom.
McKenna.
Gavin.
Gavin McKenna.
Gavin McKenna. I'm having Gavin. We all want Gavin McKenna or Sternberg's
Ivar
brother.
Stenberg. I'm on Jacob's side on this. He's talked about it, wanting Stenberg over McKenna, but we don't have to.
I'm
get
having
into that.
Gavin.
I don't want to defend that.
I'm having Gavin, but also I'm having Homebank because they are the team behind our team here. They sponsor Blues Central Postgame, brought to you by Homebank. From business lending to everyday banking, Homebank has been with us since day one as a trusted partner. Business ain't just about the numbers, folks. Hunter, it's about relationships. And with Homebank, those relationships make all the difference. Homebank is the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Homebank, member FDIC. More than a bank, they're your business partner. Wanted to get that off the table before we dove into the main course tonight. Third period, even game, 1-1. We go under 4 minutes. A great backhand pass from Jimmy Snuggerud in the corner in the O zone. Assist also credited to Tyler Tucker on this goal. But the dangle job by Pavel Buchnevich to get that just under the crossbar past Philip Gustafsson. Schenn also on the ice. Interesting that late in the game, those lines were mixed up. It was a Schenn Neighbors Kyrou line that preceded that shot on goal, but Buchnevich with the game-winning goal under 4 minutes to go. What was the secret to that play? The secret sauce, Hunter?
I think it's the forechecking, and they played hard and they went after the puck. Gustafsson went behind the net, made a risky pass because there were Buchnevich and Snuggerud right there next to the Wild defenders, and Buchnevich with the initial pinch pops it back below towards the goal line. Snuggerud comes in, backhands it right back to Buchnevich, and what a beautiful, beautiful shot that was over the right shoulder of Gustafsson to go right under the crossbar and fit it perfectly in as as the Blues will take that game-winning goal 9 times out of 9, not just 9 times out of 10. They will take that every day from Buchnevich. That's what you pay him for, and that's something that we haven't really seen a lot of this season with Buchnevich is those late heroics or those highlight reel style goals. And it's a nice thing to see, especially heading into next season. You assume that the Buchnevich is going to be on the roster. You assume that he's going to be around, and to see some of that life be breathed back into him down the stretch is really what I want to see. I want to see life being breathed into him, into Kyrou, into Holloway now that he's back from injury after his fantastic night on Thursday. I want to see those guys take those steps forward and really rebound from what has been a very tough year offensively for St. Louis. And I think it's a welcome sight to see something like that out of Buchnevich late.
Welcome sight to see Robert Thomas on the ice, and a perfect game for him in the faceoff circle. And the biggest play for the Blues through 2 periods was under 2 minutes to go in that second frame. A good 200-foot play on the ice. Robert Thomas, again, caught in the corner in the defensive zone, able to get it out to Schenn, kicked it back to Thomas, and then Thomas dropped back pass to Logan Mailloux, then screens Quinn Hughes for Mailloux to get a game-time goal there late in the second period to make it 1-1. And then the late empty net goal for Robert Thomas. I mean, how good is it to have him playing with exceptional effort, clearly healthy, and just being that leading presence that this team has asked for?
Well, that's the most important part. He's part of that group that's your highest paid players on the team, and with him and Kyrou and Buchnevich and all season long, it's been okay. Well, what are these guys doing? Why are they not performing? Part of it, I think, is the team just not playing up to their standards and what to because we see nights like this, but then we also see nights like last night where it doesn't feel like the team is playing up to that standard that they can set. And when they do play up to this level, they're a good team and they have the ability. I don't want to say I'm afraid of saying this, but it's interesting because I don't necessarily want to just say, you know what, we're going to run it back next year with the same group. We're not going to make any moves at the deadline. I think they have to make moves at the deadline, and I don't want to put that thought into Doug Armstrong's head, even though he's not going to be in charge anymore, but he's still going to be around, I assume, and in the decision making process with Schenn. Shenn's probably going to consult him quite a bit, and it's going to be important to see those pieces of what does the future look like for the Blues? Who steps up to the plate when they need it the most? And right now, it's looking like those three are going to be around for a while. And there are rumors about Robert Thomas, but I'm not buying into anything just yet. I want to see how this week progresses before we start diving into, is Robert Thomas going to be playing his last game for the Blues in this next week?
Who will be wearing the blue note Friday, March 6th at 2 p.m. Central? That's going to be a pins and needles situation, and hopefully the Blues not stand pat. However, they have the pieces that they need moving forward to finish out the season strong and go into the 26-27 campaign on a right foot. J Call 5596 with a beautiful dog as his avatar. If that's your own dog, sir, please give me a name, age, and mix breed. Looks like a little rescue dog there. Says the refs almost cost us the game with that egregious call that led to a penalty. He's talking about the second period. The Blues take the refs out of this game. The Blues probably play a clean sheet and a perfect game in the box score. They got jobbed a couple of times, and one of them leading to our money moment of the game in just a few minutes. Let's talk about this, Hunter, because second period, Jack Finley gets called for a phantom high stick call. And with under 5 minutes to go, it was a friendly fire. One wild player high sticks another. On the other side of the ice, Dalibor Dvorsky is getting checked in the ribs. And the Blues cannot get their head together on the penalty kill. They have a blip 3-on-2 situation. Pius Suter tries to center the puck, turns it over, and then they get caught on the other end on a 3-on-1. Kaprizov able to dump it in on a pass from Matt Boldy to give the Wild an early lead. Now, earlier in the season, you would say, well, that's it. And things start to fall precipitously from there. Credit to the Blues for keeping it together and scoring 3 unanswered. But dude, they're getting jobbed in games like these. This is good for them to turn it around and create their own momentum.
Yeah, I'm not usually one to pin a specific loss or a reason for a loss on an official, but that call was bad. I mean, you saw it on the replay. The Blues, obviously, the replay room's like, what are we doing here? But obviously, not a challengeable call. You can't do anything about it. You just got to go and play your game and try and survive it. And obviously, yes, it does lead to it leads to that 3-on-2 chance, and the Blues take an opportunity. I mean, when you're playing where the Blues are, sometimes you got to take some risk just to try and push the needle. Um, but the 3-on-2 when you're already down and the momentum's kind of swinging back and you're on the road, maybe you just dump the puck there and try and reset and regroup rather than making an errant pass and allowing a 3-on-1 going back the other way that leads to that goal. And it was a fantastic play by the Wild, but it's something that could have been avoided on both ends. I think that the Blues could have avoided it when they were on the penalty kill. I think that the Blues could have avoided it if the referees actually saw what happened in front of them. Um, but it's one of those you gotta eat it. And early, like you said earlier in the year, the Blues at this point would probably roll over and die. And to see them fight back and stay resilient and stay with keep their heads above water and try and fight back and battle back in this game after the call like that is frustrating. And it's good to see. Sorry, it's frustrating to get that call. It's good to see that building block of we're not going away. We're not going to quit. That's something that I've been trying to say is the biggest issue all season long is the inability to bounce back when you face adversity. And I think that's been a key point for the Blues this year has been that. And if they can find a way down the stretch to really rebound from adversity and take strides as a team, as a locker room, as a culture, then I think you're going to see the Blues in a much better spot than where we probably would have thought, entering January, where it felt like this team was going to be in the very, very deep dark when you enter the offseason.
Here's another thing, and like you, far be it for me to criticize officials who have to analyze things in real time and get the calls right. The counterpoint is it's 2026. Technology has caught up to the NFL, the NBA. Damn it, your average college lacrosse game in the Patriot League gets stopped every 45 seconds for a call correction. The emphasis is on getting things right. This game had a great natural pace to it. Not a lot of stoppages, either by penalties or by clearings out of the playing area. So you could afford to rewind a couple of these or take some time with calls that were missed. And one late in the game when the Wild pulled Gustafson, Joel Hofer has the puck, empty net 200 feet down the ice, clears the puck, tries to get a shot on goal. Our old friend Vladimir Tarasenko, now a sellsword in the National Hockey League, jumps up and deflects the puck. And the puck caroms and misses the net. Icing is called. On the replay, very evident that there is a deflection from Vladdy. And the puck goes back to the Blues' own zone. The Wild then get a scoring chance out of it. 31 seconds left, and it's Tarasenko. Slap shot that Hofer makes a tremendous save on. And, eliminates the potential goal by the Wild to get them back in the game. And it's unnecessary. It's great athleticism and great team play by the Blues. It's also our money moment of the game. And that's brought to you by Homebank. Homebank is the team behind our team here at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. But to your point, I mean, heck of a play by Joel Hofer there to keep this game in the Blues' favor.
Yeah, that was a fantastic save. It's in the near side on the broadcast corner of the screen of the ice, and it gets kicked back, and he's got to dive all the way across, and then all of a sudden he's lunging forward with his glove held high, and is able to snuff out a chance. And I love Tarasenko when he was here. He was my favorite player growing up, but to watch that happen in real time was amazing. That was a fantastic save, and I couldn't choose anything else other than the only other competitor would have been Buchnevich's goal. But I think that the save was bigger. I think it was the bigger play in the game. It mattered the most. It was less than a minute to play. It was a spot that the Blues have been in many, many, many times over the course of this season, almost to the point where it feels like we're stuck on a broken record looking at Game 7 against the Jets, letting in a late goal. And Hofer comes out and is able to stuff it and put that away. And the Blues were able to hold on, get an empty netter not too long after that, and can close out the game with a win. And then, all in all, not a bad first 3 games back from the break in terms of just trying to see what they have and getting guys back, getting guys healthy, and putting something together during this last little bit of the season.
A couple of comments in the chat about Logan Mailloux. With Colton Parayko sidelined with back spasms, Mailloux, in my opinion, did some things really well on the defensive end, got things started. Really good net front presence. What all did you see from him tonight?
I thought he played a fine game. There were a lot of opportunities for him, especially that goal. And obviously, that's a play that was created by Robert Thomas, but he's able to put it in the back of the net. And I think he's one of the guys that over the course of next season, at the end of this season, really, um, I want to see really kind of take those steps forward. I think that there was a reason why you give up a guy like Zach Bolduc, as much as it pains me. Um, the Blues clearly saw something in him, and to say that is the hardest part about giving up a guy like Bolduc is when Mayu comes in and struggles at the beginning of the year, but he's progressed throughout this season. I want to continue seeing him take steps forward as the future really begins to uh, align for St. Louis. And I think that you can absolutely be a part of that, especially if at the end of this week you sit here and Justin Falk's no longer on the roster. The Blues make some moves and there's a defenseman spot, a full-time defenseman spot opened up and it might as well be Mayu and let him learn at this level. It's hard enough to jump up to the NHL and not be ready. Most of the time you're expected to be ready when you make that jump. But to be in a spot where the Blues are, development at the NHL level is important, and getting used to the speed of the game up there is important. So I think Mayu played a very strong game tonight. I think that he's got some real potential. I just want to see it become, instead of potential, I want to see it become on the stat sheet, in his play in the film room. I just want to see it that way.
22 games left for the St. Louis Blues in this 2025-26 campaign. 3 straight on the West Coast coming up, starting Wednesday at Seattle, the season series finale against Kraken. Keys for the Blues as they try to extend this into back-to-back wins, Hunter.
Continue to play with aggression. I think that was something that the Blues played with tonight that they didn't play with last night. They played with aggression when they had the puck. They were aggressive. The Wild are a very good team. They are a team that I sit here looking at the playoffs, and they're a genuine cup run contender. They and the Blues came out and they handled them fairly well. They were aggressive with the puck early. They played hard through all 3 periods. In the second period, a little bit of a rut during the middle part, but they came back to it at the end. And I think that the biggest key is just continuing that aggression with the puck, being aggressive towards the net. Try and find a way. You are in a spot where a lot of teams will roll over and die. They will not play a full 60 minutes. Show me that you can play a full 60 minutes over this next week on the West Coast.
Show me something I've never seen before. He's Hunter Mulholland. I'm Luke Slabaugh. Final score tonight, the St. Louis Blues 3 and the Minnesota Wild 1. This has been Blues Central Postgame, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Have a good night, everyone. Card Central 365 in 24 minutes with Ethan Hannaford. Get jazzed. I'm jazzed. But if you're not there, whatever. Good night.